We're back with more Angular and Pocketbase. In this video, we're going to be looking at setting up the NavBar and tracking whether or not the user is logged in. Let's go. In my PB terminal, I'm going to cd into Pocketbase and then execute /Pocketbase space serve and then click on the API link. In the ng terminal, I'll cd into RoboTask and then execute ng serve. Inside of the app component, we will start with one header tag. And inside of that header tag, I want to set up a div to have a logo like element. And inside of that div, I want to have an anchor and with a class of logo link, but the router link will be to /tasks. And the text for that anchor will be RoboTask. I want a second div, and it will have a class of session container. And inside of that div, I want to create an anchor with a class of header link and a router link of /logout and text logout. I want a second anchor with a class of header link, and the router link for that one will just be /, and that's for the login. And then a third anchor, also with a class of header link and a router link of /register and with text register. Next, I want to create a div as a sibling to the header, and it's going to have a class of container and pt-5, and I'm going to drag the router outlet inside of that div. There's nothing really special about the looks of it, it's just the links standing on top of each other. So inside of the styles for the header component, I want to set the display to flex, and I want to set the justify content to space-between, and I want to set the align items to center, and I want to set the align content to center, and the background color to 222, and I want it to have a padding of 15 px. That'll make the header a little bit taller, but I think it looks better. Next, for the a.headerlink :link, a.headerlink :active, and a.headerlink :visited, I want the text decoration to be none, and I want the color to be ed, and the font size to be 12. I want the padding to be 5x. And you can tell it's already looking a little bit better. And it looks like for the app component, we need to import router link. Okay, now it's looking better. Back in styles, I want to change the a.headerlink :hover, and I want the text decoration for that to be underline. And I want the color to be CCC. Next, we need to create logo link. So a.logolink :link, a.logonlink :active, a.logolink :visited. And for that one, we want the text decoration to be none. We want the color to be light blue. We want the font size to be 18 point, and we want the padding to be 5x. We also want to set up a separate a.logolink :hover, and we want the color for that to be 266 ACE, which is a little darker blue. Now, if we save again, so that looks pretty good. It gives us what we need. So I want to revisit the auth service and just remind you of the user subject which is private to the class, but also the user $, which is an observable. We're going to create a subscription for that observable and track it so that we can change the status of our NavBar based on that status. When the user logs out and pb.authStore is cleared, we want to be able to detect when that's happening. So I want to create a new public method named updateUserSubject, and then we'll do a const pb equals to Pocketbase environment.base URL. And we also want to call this.userSubject.next, and then we want to set isValid equal to pb.authStore.isValid, the auth model to pb.authStore.model, and the token to pb.authStore.token. Now this allows us to update the status of the login user and that user $ observable when something happens inside of this service, or even outside the service since it's public. So in our app component, we need an auth service to be injected. So auth service equals inject auth service. We are going to create a variable isLoggedIn, which is a Boolean, and initially it'll be set to false to track whether or not the user is logged in. And we also want to create a variable named loggedIn status sub, which is going to be a subscription. We also need to implement onInit and onDestroy. When ng-onInit executes, we want to get the initial state to force that update. And then we're going to set this.loggedIn status sub to this.authService.user$.subscribe. And that's going to return a user model or null. And we want to then check that result and see if it's null. And if it is null, then isLoggedIn is going to be false. Else we want to look at the local storage.getItem Pocketbase_auth. And if it's not null, that means that we are logged in still. Else this.isLoggedIn equals false.
And here's your friendly reminder to like and subscribe. We post new videos often for software developers, software engineers, and software architects. Thanks.
And next we need to set up the ng-on-destroy. And we're just going to unsubscribe on the this.loggedIn status sub. Next, back in our header on the links, we're going to do an ng-if for each of those. And for the logout, it can stay isLoggedIn, but on the login and register, it needs to be if not logged in. So if you're logged in, we want to be able to log out. If you're not logged in, we want to be able to log in or register. I'm also going to do an ng-if on the logo link and change where that's being redirected to if you are or are not logged in. So if you are logged in and you click on RoboTask, it'll take you to the tasks. But if you're not, then it's going to take you to the login page. So we need to import the common module to the app component. And that should make the links appear. There we go. So it looks like it's already working. Login and register is being displayed since we're not logged in. So let's log in and see what happens. Okay, so we're logged in. Logout displays. But when we log out, we need to force that call to update user subject. So if we go to the logout component on the ng-on-init method, after we call logout, we are going to force that user $ to be updated, that user observable, by calling authService.updateUserSubject. Now let's log in again and then log out. Everything looks like it's working. Great. Unfortunately, we can't implement that in the logout method itself. It's returning the promise. So since we're only logging out in one place, it's not that big of a deal. That's it. We're done. In the next video, we are going to look at setting up the row level security or row level policies that controls who can insert, update, and delete, or even read the data inside of Pocketbase. Until next time, happy coding.